Jumbo, fellow adventurer, and happy hump day. Welcome to another spiritual tune-up. Here's a really fun question for you. Mike, if time's an illusion, why are there past lives, future lives, old souls, and new souls? Mike, why are the seasons, the moon, and Earth's orbit so consistent? Well, great question. I'm glad you asked. I don't believe our mind, which is wired to an illusionary timeline, can totally grasp all that I'm about to share. But we can grasp enough to have confidence, bust a move, and love our lives. So, first thing I want to share is that you have to understand that life is an illusion. It's exactly like a movie that you watch in a cinema. All right? And where does a movie like Star Wars or Jumanji or Casablanca come from? Thought, mind, a desired objective, a story to tell. And that end result drives a screenplay writer to write the plot. And then a casting director to cast the players. And then a cinematographer and a lighting expert and artist and a variety of creators to collaborate and film Casablanca, not on a timeline. Many movies that you love and adore, the ending was filmed before the beginning. But then through the magic of editing in the lab, later on, somebody is able to sit in the comfort of a recliner cinema studio with their popcorn and Coca-Cola and watch this production on the timeline that exists in the movie theater. And there's a beginning, and it's logical, and it builds to a suspense. And then the heroine is abducted, and then Brad Pitt saves the day. And then you walk out of the movie theater like, oh my gosh, that was so real, that was so amazing, I so love this, that, or the other about the movie. The movie was not created in front of your eyes. The movie was created somewhere else, not on a timeline. But you experienced it on a timeline. Why? For the fun of it, for the joy of it, for the suspense, for the laughter, for the educational values. So worthwhile to forget you exist, to be absorbed into the props and constructs, the themes and the beliefs, the customs and the culture of the movie. Because boom, in the blink of an eye, you're going to be back out in broad daylight, back to your life. And this is very much a parallel to us living in the jungles of time and space, where we have a lifetime that is ordained by our initial objectives, desires, dreams, end results, stuff we want to learn. And we find out who's going to go where and when and what planet and what time zone and what epoch. And then we get our popcorn and our soda, and then we are inserted into this phenomenal creation based on underlying intents. Nothing is written in stone. There were only probabilities. And once you emerge on the stage, unlike a movie theater, you can rewrite the script. But now that you're on the stage, you're playing along with the idea that there is a time and there is place and there is have and there is have not. Things that do not exist where we really come from, when we are everywhere, always at once. But by forgetting that world, just like by leaving your day in the life existence outside of the movie theater, you can immerse yourself in the jungles of time and space. Immerse yourself into the movie theater. Be educated, be enthralled, be terrified, be thrilled, fall in love, be loved. And then you go back out into the sunshine and you assimilate it all. And it's my gosh. Okay, first I had to give you that. Now I'm going to talk about the moon and past lives and old souls. Okay? This is juicy, fun, good stuff. And it can erase question marks you may otherwise have in the tapestry of your understanding, the mosaic of life and its mysteries and its magic. When you can erase question marks, your power stays here. And you don't think, oh, any crazy weird thing could befall me. God might decide that I'm supposed to pay some dues or take a test today. No, none of that stuff ever existed. You are the creator, the writer, the screenplay artist, and the actor all at once in these sacred jungles of time and space, where the illusions are just a trick of perception. So let's answer the question, how are past lives possible if time is just an illusion? It's funny that I would once wonder that, and you're now wondering that, some of you, when we don't wonder about, hey, I was a baby, I was a young Mikey, I was middle-aged Mikey, I'm now a little more than middle-aged Mikey, and even though time is an illusion, I'm able to be little Mike, young Mike, immature Mike, wise Mike, mature Mike, old Mike one day. So this is playing out in our very lifetimes. What's the big deal connecting a dot and saying, just as there is a before, beginning, and after, a presumed, believed in, illusionary before, beginning, and after, right now in this moment, why would that stop at birth? This is exactly the same way you can get your head around, in a feeble way, of past lives and future lives. But you're right, it's all happening simultaneously. There is this eternal now that all exists. And just as stuff in my younger years in this incarnation will affect today, so will today affect past lives. Past lives will affect today. This life will affect past lives and future lives, because it's all happening simultaneously. This is when your mind, wired to a linear timeline, believing in here and there and all that stuff, will go pow, like cannot compute. That's okay. You don't have to compute it, other than just vaguely, to the degree that we're talking about, so that you can be like, man, this is just one heck of a magical existence that I'm living in. And it was from the zenith of my brilliance that I chose to be here, when I could understand simultaneousity. That's a new word. And from there, I could be part of this adventure in the heart of God. Oh my God, if it can be this amazing, if this can be this real, seemingly, if the lessons can be learned and nothing is taken away from me, can you imagine what else we don't know? All of which is playing to our greater good? All right, so that's how we can have past lives, new lives, etc. The question of how come and how are there new souls and old souls? Is there an implication that new souls are being added to the mix all the time? Well, only from the limited false perspective of believing in time could you ask that question. Time's an illusion, so that question fails. There's no such thing. There are only, this is tricky, old souls. Now, old is a time reference, so that explanation is just totally flawed as well. But there is, as they would say in church, and I don't go to church, it's not a matter of before or after God. God always was, always will be, and that's it. In ways we cannot comprehend, that's the truth. And so this is important for us to understand that souls have always existed. And the new and old label simply speaks to, and this is where we're pretty savvy, speaks to the maturity level, aka the experience level. Now, maybe I've lived 10,000 lifetimes, and maybe that would qualify as old. I'm not quite sure. An old soul. And actually, it's never going to be literal. Somebody could be an old soul in their first incarnation if they can see through the illusions and immediately begin cooperating, loving, seeing the good in others. Those are old soul qualities, and it's not really chronological. It's a matter of maturity, which would typically come from a lot of years in time and space. Years is an illusion, but still, just like I'm 60 years old right now, that counts for something inside of the illusion. So inside of the illusion, somebody could have 10,000 lifetimes experience, and they would be labeled an old soul, which does not mean their soul is necessarily old. They're just mature. And somebody new would be just as old chronologically as an old soul. Again, this is slipping because words fail. But what we'd be saying is that they're new this incarnation, they have very little wisdom because they haven't been hanging out in time and space. They've been hanging out in some other realm where neither exists. They're just as old as we are, but they're new to time and space. And or we're meeting one of their incarnations that is somehow missing the wisdom from its subsequent incarnations. Again, it's so slippery and it's not easy to put very limited words on a timeline to discuss elements that do not exist on a timeline. But we can do the best we can, and we can see that we are taken care of. Mike, how come the seasons and the moon and the orbit are so consistent? That's part of the movie ticket we bought. We bought a ticket into a realm where many, many, many things would be following certain physical laws, all of which could be overwritten by the will of the participants collectively. But that's not the point, and it would shatter our game. It would ruin the playing table. So we're not going to mess up the moon or the seasons just to see if we can. Those things help create a stage for us to live the lives where we had certain objectives and dreams and challenges we wanted to deal with. And here we are living them, and the price of admission is buying into the beliefs of the time, including the physical laws that set this stage up and make it possible. All is supremely well, and that's the point of some of these esoteric questions and answers, and it's why it's worth thinking about these odd things so that you don't all of a sudden feel like the rug could be ripped out from under you. You live in a safe, adoring universe that you hand-picked for reasons that will one day make sense to you. And so now that you know all is supremely well, let's get it on. Have dreams, define them in terms of the end result, move with love in your heart, show up, take action, see the good, prepare to be astounded. That's what it's all about. May today be the best Wednesday of your life so far. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I'm also looking forward to a couple of hours from now, say about 6 hours from now. I'm teaming up with my buddy David G, and we are launching the 21-day meditation adventure. If you want to get grounded in truth, if you want to be able to connect more dots, then follow along as David G shares 21 guided meditations, plus 4 workshops, plus a beautiful downloadable workbook, plus a community on Facebook and on the tut.com dashboard, plus notes from the universe on the weekend during these 21 days. Join us for a price you choose. If it's not all that, you get a full refund. You can't go wrong. 10 minutes a day for 21 days, you will develop a habit and a ritual to finally meditate on your terms in a way that excites you, that draws you to it and makes it a lot of fun. Today we kick off. Today's the last day. Join David G and I. Click below on the Facebook link and or swipe up in my bio on Instagram, and you'll see the link to find out more about joining us today for a price you choose as little as $27. $1 a day for 21 days. All right, that's how much you're loved, and thank you so much for letting me do what I do. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Hasta pronto. And thank you, Cedric, Diana, Patty, Sam. Glad you are all in the house. My peeps. And then Solas and Kizzy and Patricia on Instagram. Kim, welcome. Glad you're here, everybody. See you tomorrow. Adios. Tally ho.